streamers, and welcome to the first week of Dawntrail, the very first time I've ever been able to be here live for an expansion launch that I'm actually taking part in. It's been a weird experience, especially because we've not done the MSQ. That starts on Monday. Monday's MSQ day. I learned a valuable lesson when I was doing Heavensward, I think, and Endwalker launched, is that I saw the Twitch category and it's like, oh, absolutely nobody watches Final Fantasy XIV during an expansion launch. It's the exact opposite to everything I'm used to with World of Warcraft. They all want to stay home, enjoy the story, and then they'll come back later and watch the stream. So I was like, oh, cool. So let's, and in weird way, purely by accident, at that time, we were by far and away the #1 watched channel at Twitch because we weren't doing Endwalker. We were doing Heavensward. So I was like, oh, okay, lesson learned. And a lot of other streamers have learned that lesson. You've probably seen, if you have been on Twitch, a few streamers blasted the MSQ, did some skipping, and went straight to level 100 and got going. But a lot of the most watched streamers, by a long way, didn't touch the MSQ and did other things, especially because, if you don't know, and this is still going now, guys, is that Square Enix ran a drops on Twitch to encourage people to see Dawntrail, and that meant that if you watched streams, you got a free mount, you got some bonus things like that, and that is continuing until the 29th of July. So do not worry if you've missed that, and you're like, oh, I can get a mount. Yeah, you can. Just tune into a stream, leave it on, talk to the people, chill out, and you will get your mount. You have a lot of time to get it done. It was extraordinary. I was like, it's been a while since we've been over 10,000 viewers. That happens. I know we're not going to be the mega channel. I don't appeal to that, like, certainly younger audience that likes that kind of stuff, the Kai Cenats of the world. I'm really happy with our viewership. We're extraordinarily successful, really good. But still, to see an average of 12,000 people chilling, hanging out, being good, no spoilers, it's really heartwarming to me to see that happen, and everyone just being really cool and being the #1 in the category. Besides a very popular Japanese streamer, it was them and us by far and away with miles. So really extraordinary launch. I want to talk about the launch a little bit. One, it was super smooth, which is my first experience, so it was fine. Apparently Endwalker was really bad, but this was extraordinarily smooth. Got in straight away. Was happy days. Had a little bit of trouble, and if you guys are having this issue, they are resolving it in that I got a code. I bought Dawntrail, but I didn't buy the collector's edition. But I got a key for the collector's edition, and I'm on Steam. I know, write your comments now. Why are you on Steam? It was just what I chose on the time because we intended to play FF14 for a week. Here we are. And it wouldn't work, regardless of what I did. My Steam profile had it all registered. Yes, you have the Dawntrail Collector's Edition, which gives you a new mount and some really new cool Pictomancer glam. But I could not tell the Mog Station that I had it. Like, and after speaking with Iris, praise be to Iris, at the Mog Station Live customer support, Iris was like, oh yeah, okay, I've just double checked. Yeah, there is absolutely no functionality in Mog Station to account for this, because what happened is you have base Dawntrail. The code you got was Dawntrail plus the Collector's Edition, and there's no way of us resolving that issue. The Mog Station is notoriously outdated. It's antiquated. It's got a lot of issues for a lot of people, and hopefully they are going to resolve it one day, but they have no functionality for like, oh, you have a better version of the game? Yeah, we can't tell that. But going through customer support, they were like, we know you have it. This is your CD key. We know it's not registered, and they upgraded it manually. So if you're having that issue, certainly if you've won a key in a live stream and stuff like that, because certainly in the EU, Square Enix EU have been so cool. They gave us a ton of keys to give away to upgrade people to Collector's Edition. Absolutely awesome. They were in the stream, they were chilling, and they were messaging me and like, hey, we got a load of codes to give away. Do you want to give some away? I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely awesome. So that's all been great. Let's talk about the game. Okay, obviously, for the media tour, many people have seen it, is I got a few hours with the jobs. I focused on Viper and Picto, and after playing them, although I went into the media tour favoring Picto, after playing them very briefly, I favored Viper over Picto. The cast times of painting your images was a little too slow for me. Remember, I'm coming from a combat-focused background, certainly World of Warcraft, which is very fast-paced. Like, it's extraordinarily fast-paced to the point that a lot of people are turned off by WoW combat because it's too fast. It's as simple as that. It's too much going on. I prefer that style. So for me, the slowdown of Picto was like, where Viper was continuous. It was going and going and going. There was never a GCD to be spared, and I preferred that. I leaned into it, and I was like, oh, at a quick glance, this is great. So I started off with Viper this week, and after playing it, I was like, this is kind of cool. It's everything I expected. It's a little rudimentary. It's got some work with positionals. Now, I want to point out, as I'm recording this today, there have been some developer notes that came out in the night. Literally, as I woke up, I saw this, that they're changing some stuff with Viper. So we'll return to that. I don't want to talk on it too briefly, but I found it very rudimentary. All made sense, you know, A to B to C, B to C to A, and then it kind of repeats once you get your combos going. And I leveled that up. I tell you, I know people want to hear about the new jobs, but I've got to tell you, I'm in a weird place right now, certainly with my live stream, in that we have so much cool stuff to do. We've got Monster Hunter World, can't wait to do that. We've got Warhammer Summer, can't wait to do that. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we want to do that. All these, I like to structure my stream with big projects. The problem with that is it doesn't leave a lot of room for one gaming. Like just playing, say, an MMO for an extended period of time. And it's a big difference than what it used to be, which is like, okay, Mike's streaming, he's playing World of Warcraft, right? And that would be it every single day. And we would do that over and over again because we were a WoW streamer. We're not that anymore, which means there is not a lot of room in my life anymore for continuous play of an MMO. The way I consume MMOs now is I play multiple MMOs, so Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, Destiny, and what I do is I build them up so there's a big chunk of content to enjoy, and then we go in like a greedy little piglet and we consume as much as possible until we hit the point which is the daily grind, right? And we all know and love that from MMOs, is like you can get the vast majority of your rewards and cool stuff very, very quickly in most MMOs, and then you hit the daily day-to-day stuff, which is when you'll push to either very, very high level things. So that would be going from like heroic in WoW to mythic, right? That's a big step up. Heroic you can do in a couple of weeks, no problem, even with a group of friends, if you've got some reasonably good players around you. Mythic is going to be, you know, maybe a couple months, 3 months of investment in order to get that, along with daily quotas to meet, Mythic Pluses to be done. You know, it adds a lot of burden to get a little bit of a step up, but that is also the content I enjoy. But that doesn't fit my stream anymore. Having said that then, I've really enjoyed more than anything. I think I've probably enjoyed this more than what I will enjoy the MSQ, is just playing an MMO for a week. Because I had this week where I wasn't playing I wasn't playing the brand new content because it doesn't suit FF14 structure. And I just got to be an MMO gamer. And I did daily dungeons. I did my Wondrous Tales. I found a really cool challenge with Sephiroth. I know Sephiroth's an old boss. I've killed it, you know, mid-item level, no echo, with the guys. But I was soloing it, and it just so happened to fall almost into a Mage Tower category for exactly the gear my Black Mage had and the requirements and positioning it needed. So I found myself a wonderful little challenge there that was completely unnecessary and pointless, but really fun. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. And then I went and did Bosnia again. And you guys may have seen, if you saw the videos, I love Bosnia. I love the absolute design of it. But we have to move on because that's the nature of live streaming. And this time I just got to hang out in there, chill, actually get on with the grind, join some pugs, and just get on with it. And it's been a really wonderful experience to just be back in an MMO without really a massive goal to hit, just having fun, doing some leveling. And that's what I did with my Viper. I leveled it up to 100, got it there, and was pretty happy with it. Then I swapped to Picto. I've got to say, having a lot more time with it than I had on the media tour and doing lots of different types of content on it, I kind of started to prefer the Picto. Because it's got some wonderful cyclical windows to attack in and have fun with. It's visually very cool. Especially in the downtime, like on bosses, yeah, I still feel that delay of like, okay, I have to cast these things. But I don't have the lag that I had at the media tour, which was certainly a part of it because we were playing on Japanese servers that were routed through the US. So we had quite a lot of lag, which does not help a job that has these kind of slower windows and then relatively fast windows. And it just grew on me. So the thing that I think I prefer Picto now. I think I do. So I rounded out Bosnia with that. I want more thoughts on these. I rounded out Bosnia on that one. I was like, okay, we've got like a couple of days left before we're going to start the MSQ. What should we do? And I was like, you know what? I'm just enjoying playing an MMO. Coming back to what I said before, I'm going to try out some of the jobs and some of the things that I would like to do in my off time. And this is what I described as, and people definitely got it. If you're not clear on what I'm saying, this is what I describe it as. This is the content that you do while watching a stream or you're watching YouTube and things like that. These are the things that you do in your MMO, but you watch something else while you do it. You stick Netflix on, you stick YouTube on, you watch a live stream. It's not really the content that you want your streamer to be doing, right? So I did crafting. I jumped into crafting. I was like, right, I've always wanted to check out crafting. I've had a brief look at it in the past, but we're going in now, and we're going in kind of blind. I did tease people by putting up, like, a written guide, which was just horrendous. I knew from the first sentence it was bad, and people were losing their goddamn minds. I jumped into it, and I was like, it's fine. It's a good system. It's got gameplay elements. There's interesting things going on. I was doing culinary, but it is boring. And people are like, it's not boring. You're making it really fun. I'm like, I am. But I'm bored, right? I'm doing my stream a bit to make it entertaining and have fun with it and entertain a crowd, but I'm bored. And I keep coming back to this when it comes to streaming and content creation, all those things. Is like, there's just so much choice at the buffet these days. There's so much that I could be doing that certainly like a grind and a leveling grind and things like that are just not of interest to me anymore. Compared to, like, I could just be doing something else that's just more fun in terms of how I utilize my time playing video games. If I was not a streamer, this would be absolutely fine. It would be totally fine. If I was not a streamer and I was like, I want to come home after a hard day at work and play my favorite game and I'm going to do some crafting tonight, it would be perfect. It's no issue with that whatsoever. It's not like I'm above it or anything like that. It's just like, in my scenario, it's just, if I'm remotely bored, that affects my content creation, and I want to do something else. So I was like, I'm just finding this boring. We're having fun with it, sure, but I'm going to move on to something else. So I was like, what's a job that people have been begging me or, like, pushing at me? And I was like, you know what? It's like warrior, sage, astrologian, all these things that are well worth playing. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. So in that vein I just explained about cooking, I did warrior. I'm going to go warrior. I'm going to try it out. I did the first few quests, and then it hit, like, you need to get level 5. You need to get, like, level 15 before the next quest opens. I was like, you know what? We've got a couple of days to do this. What I'm going to do, and this is what we're doing, is I'm going to boost this XP-wise, and then play through the story on New Game Plus, which you can do in Final Fantasy XIV, because I want the story. I desperately want the story. I don't want to be leveling to 90 or 100, just grinding out leaves and fates and things like that, because ultimately, if we want to try a multitude of jobs, we're just not going to have the time to do it, unless we fully invest into the game for a 6-month period, probably, which we're not going to do. So I was like, oh, realistically, we're not going to do this, and the bit we're skipping is the XP grind. I don't see a problem with that. We're not skipping the story. I want the story, and that's what I'm going to be doing today as I record this. And jumping into that, and, like, this makes total sense. And I was glad to see the audience understood. It's like, yeah, like, nobody cares if you grinded 60 fates or whatever to get the next few levels, and then ended up in Eureka, and then ended up in Palace of the Dead, and then ended up in Bosnia. Whatever the route you were going to take in order to get there. Totally fine. We'll boost the XP up, and then we'll go back and we'll do the whole story in a wonderful, cohesive, back-to-back manner, instead of breaking it up with some leveling grinding. So that's what I've done. It's the first time I've ever done this. It was kind of interesting. Gives you a nice little starter gear. I got a bunch of spells. I played, like, a couple of dungeons without ever playing a warrior before. It was fine. Like, it is full beast mode and going for it. And honestly, I guess my conclusion to this little story here that I wanted to update you guys on is Dawntrail so far has been interesting in terms of what I'm seeing elsewhere. I had to cut myself off Twitter for a few days because people were very mixed on the story. I don't know why. I, like, turned it off. When people had obviously done the MSQ after the first weekend, people were starting to post a lot of comments on my timeline that I was seeing about it. So I was like, okay, let's close what other people are saying. But I am aware, like, on Steam, it's dropped to mixed and things like that. And literally this morning, I woke up and notifications were coming in on Discord and stuff. I was like, hey, they're doing this and this with Viper because there's been some complaints maybe over in Japan. And people are unhappy about this. And it's raised a lot of questions which definitely appeal to me. And in fact, really curious this has come up. And I can't wait to talk about it after I record this on stream. And then you'll probably see the highlight on this channel. this is exactly what me and Yoshi P were talking about towards the end of the interview time I had with him, and exactly why he was like, we need to go for dinner and talk about this, because this is a nebulous, grand idea. Is like, how should a job in an MMO work? Because the top-end people who are very comfortable with more niche aspects of job design and rotations and things like that, they don't understand that that's not the majority of people that are playing your game. But at the same time, your game shouldn't be so easy that it's brain dead. And where do you draw that line? Is it okay to have some that are brain dead and some that aren't? And are positionals a good way of defining skill? All those kind of aspects are not set in stone. They're not black and white. And in fact, interestingly enough, I had this same conversation with Jonathan over Path of Exile 2, the lead director of Path of Exile 2. It's like this same discussion was coming up. It's like, where do you draw that line? And all game developers, especially ones that are running persistent worlds or live games, good ones, have this problem. Where do we draw the line? We want accessibility, otherwise no one can play our game, but we also want room for the invested players to be rewarded for being invested. And how do we create that separation? How does it not be too much? Which is what World of Warcraft struggled with for a while. A Shadow Priest in Legion will be able to attest, is that the skill cap beyond your average player to the great players was too vast. It was just far too large. And we're getting down that road. You can see, this is the stuff I love, man. I love this stuff. This is like the real nitty gritty of how you create these games and how you look at it for all these monolithic giant developers who are all stuck on this same issue. And none of them have the right answer. None of them have the right answer because there isn't one. And that's why it's hard. There isn't a right answer. It's somewhere around here-ish. If you go too far, then it's too hard and no one likes it. If you bring it down, it's too easy and it's a clicker game. And where do we land in there? And I love this stuff. I love hearing how all of the developers have a very different perspective. It's so cool. Probably a big video in this. Watch out on the main channel for that, all right? So, yeah, there you go. So, MSQ on Monday. We've still got a ton of giveaways to give away. So, giveaways to give away. Good phrasing, me. I'm a good orator, right? Obviously. So, I'll see you there, guys. Bye.